Monkey.
What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to another video. This is a big week going into week 16. This is your pregame prediction video for the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. They'll be traveling to AT&T Stadium. The Cowboys are 10-4. Philadelphia Eagles, they're 13-1. Let's talk about it.
Down the field, Lamb, 10-5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.
Before we jump in, be sure to like and subscribe for more Cowboys content. We're going to be here all season, and I definitely have to thank each and every one of you for following me, subscribing to this channel. Definitely means a lot. It's just really cool, the community that we built here in the past season. But let's go ahead and jump into this. Like I said, this is a huge game. Now, let me address the elephant in the room. Actually, in fact, there's a lot of elephants in the room when it comes to a game like this. But I think the biggest elephant in the room is this game doesn't carry as much weight as it would have for multiple reasons. One, the Cowboys botched the game last week and they gave up a 27-10 lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars, thus losing that game. If the Cowboys won, that makes that number one seed, the NFC East division scenarios very interesting and would make these last 3 weeks of football very interesting. They lost though. Now on top of that, now we're talking about whether or not Jalen Hurts is going to play or not. In my opinion, I don't think he's going to play. I don't know if it's the wisest thing for the Eagles to play Hurts this late in the season, especially with where they're at in their season being 13-1, so close to clinching the number one seed in the division. They may not get it done on Sunday. Who knows? But, they'll have 2 more weeks to close that out with what I expect to just be a win, honestly. It's that easy for them to clinch the number one seed in the NFC East. But there you go. A lot of scenarios going into this. It's not as dramatic or heavy of a game as it would have been, unfortunately. Although, this game does still carry weight. And it's a big game for a lot of reasons. I can't really say for the Eagles. Well, actually, I can, because first off, if they win, they clinch the NFC East. I'm going to get back to that from a Cowboys perspective here in a minute. But they can clinch the NFC East. They can be division champs, which means they would host a playoff game, and they would be the division champs of the NFC East. The Cowboys were last season, so a win gets them now. They could also clinch the number one seed. So on top of that, they would have a first-round bye in the playoffs, and they would have home field advantage. So huge ramifications if they can get this win here on Saturday against the Dallas Cowboys on the road. Now there's this other scenario out there where if they don't lose, and if the Vikings win, or if the Vikings lose, then they could still clinch that number one seed. So, and then they would have to wait until next week. If they do lose the game against the Cowboys, they'd have to wait one more week to win it with a win. And, but there is a very slight window in there where the Cowboys can still clinch the NFC East and potentially the number one seed. Very, very slim, but it would require the Eagles to drop their last 3 games and the Cowboys to win their final 3 games. And this game matters a lot, and I'll tell you why. And I think this video might be a little bit long, might just be as long as the Jaguars prediction video last week. So I appreciate you hanging out with me and talking about this big game here. And I'm going to get back to this when I make my prediction here at the end of the video. But you have to understand that the Cowboys, to me, this is their season. To me, this is going to tell me what kind of team we have here. Because you're missing pieces, right? You're missing Leighton Vander Esch, who is going to be back in a couple games by the time the playoffs come around. Same thing with Jonathan Hankins, who's a great run stopper that they traded for from the Las Vegas Raiders. You're down Anthony Brown. He's out for the season. You're down Jordan Lewis. He's out for the season. You're down Terrence Steele. He's out for the season. This team can still win games, and they've gotten to a record of 10-4 because of that. They have to play this game for pride. And I'll just get this right off the bat here. The Philadelphia Eagles, they are the better team. I'm unbiased. I'm realistic. I hate the Eagles just as much as you do, but they have the better roster. They have the better record. You are what your record says you are. Kudos to Bill Parcells. They are the better team. They do have the better roster. They are in a better place. And right now, statistically, they do have a better quarterback. They do have a better system in place for their offense and their defense, and it's led to winning a lot of games. But here's the beautiful thing about the game of football, folks, is you can have the best roster, the best coaching staff, the best training staff, the best facilities, but it don't mean a thing when that ball kicks off on game day. Because anything can happen. That's the beautiful game, and that's why we play. Is as long as you can be the better team on that day that you play, anything can happen, y'all. And as Cowboys fans, we know that best because we've been on the receiving end of such a thing. So the Cowboys can yes, they're injured. They're down a few guys. They're coming off a terrible loss against the Jaguars. But is the season over? No. They can win this game against the Eagles, split the games with the Eagles because the Eagles won back in week 6 and the Cowboys would win this matchup on Christmas Eve. And this is a game of pride, y'all. This is a game of pride. The Dallas Cowboys are still the NFC East champs. And until the Eagles have the new merch that says they've conquered the East, the Cowboys are still NFC East champs. And so this is a game of pride, y'all. This is a game of pride. Because the Eagles have to accomplish something pretty big here. They have to go down to AT&T Stadium and they have to take the crown from the Cowboys in their home stadium, on their turf, in front of their fans, and win this game. And if they do, they would be division champs. It would be a remarkable thing for the Eagles and their organization to do that. And it's a tall task to do against the Cowboys. But let's jump on in here. Because the Eagles can win this game. The Eagles can absolutely win this game. I don't want to hear it about, they're playing this team. The winning percentage of the opponents that they've been playing. No, seriously. They're a good team. My respect to them winning games. There have been a lot of games where they've almost lost. They've come close to losing, but they've found a way to win. And anytime you can find a way to win, to quote Vin Diesel, doesn't matter if you win by a minute or a mile, right? You win games. And winning is winning, and they've done that, and they've done it 13 times. And so, with Jalen Hurts potentially being out, which I'm betting he is probably going to be out, you have Gardner Minshew come into the table. Now, Gardner Minshew used to be a starting quarterback in the league for the Jacksonville Jaguars, had a few games, had some Minshew magic, right? So, he's definitely not, you got to keep your eye out for Minshew. He can surprise you. He's a tough player, really great competitor. And so, here's the thing. Here's my opinion. I think Gardner Minshew can easily be inserted into this offense and win this game. Minshew doesn't have to go out there and be Hurts. And now, hold up. I'm not saying that the system, I'm not saying that it's more of the system than it is the quarterback. Because Jalen Hurts has done a lot of things this year outside of the system that makes him a very special and dynamic player. But Eagle fans can, they can agree with me on this, unbiased and realistic if you're that way. You guys got a great system going on there in Philadelphia. Great offense and a spectacular defense. And we're going to talk about that here in a bit. But really, Minshew doesn't have to be Hurts on Sunday. He doesn't have to be excellent. He doesn't have to be MVP caliber. He doesn't have to play the game of his life to win. He just needs to be smart. He just needs to be effective. He just needs to be efficient. And it really comes down to making key throws when he needs to. Because there are going to be some big moments in this game where he's going to have to rise to the occasion, hit the receiver in between the numbers on third down, critical moments, in the red zone, whatever it needs to be. But the thing that you need to know, and I'm going to drop the stats down right here below, is the Philadelphia Eagles are a fantastic running football team. We look at the statistics right there. The Cowboys are 7th in the league when it comes to rushing. We all know that. But the Eagles are 4th in the league when it comes to rushing. And right behind it, they're 11th in passing. And the Cowboys on the opposite end, they're 17th in passing. So really the Eagles don't need, they should not get outside of their game plan here. And they know that going into this game. They can run the ball, especially with the Cowboys being without Leighton Van Der Esch. Anthony Barr is going to be in there at that moment. Anthony Barr has struggled, and we saw that in the Jaguars game. So being out, having LVE out, the Wolf Hunter, number 55, that's a big time loss to me in my eyes because he's a fantastic player. I love Leighton Van Der Esch. He's having a fantastic season, solid player. So he's definitely going to be missed. But if you have Anthony Barr coming in here, former Pro Bowler, great player, used to play for the Vikings, I take my chances with Barr any day. But we got to stop the run here. if the Cowboys can stop the run here against the Eagles, you give yourself the best chance possible to win this game. Now, if Miles Sanders goes off on Saturday, and he's had a great season, 250 attempts, over 1,000 yards on the season already, 11 touchdowns, this game might just be over if they can run the ball against the Cowboys. Hopefully that's not the case, and this defense is playing with the chip on their shoulder. Ron Kearse came out and talked about it, said, look, we just got to stop talking about it. We got to go do it. And I really hope that they do. And so you look at those stats there. Eagles are 3rd in offense. Cowboys are 9th in offense. They got a really good defense, y'all. 2nd in the league. The Cowboys are 8th in the league. Like I said, Minshew doesn't have to be spectacular. He just has to be smart with the ball and efficient. And if the Eagles can run the ball, they got a good chance at winning this game. But I feel like the Cowboys are going to answer back really good here. And well, at least I hope I do. At least I hope they do. They got to remain consistent with the rush defense. And we got to see a dramatic improvement with that secondary, guys. We got to see a dramatic difference. I know Diggs has been solid. He's been consistent. But, oh, man, I'm excited for Deron Bland. I feel like he's going to have a pretty solid game. But that third spot, man, whether it's Kelvin Joseph, Mackenzie Alexander, Trayvon Mullen, somebody, man, somebody, put your hand up. Get a stop for us. Someone's got to come up to play, man. Because, all right, if it was Jalen Hurts, I would definitely be worried because Jalen Hurts, I think, is a good passer outside of the pressure. So he could really pick apart, and A.J. Brown could maybe have a big day. Devontae Smith, too. I mean, they got weapons on the offense there. Because A.J. Brown has over 1,000 yards already on the season. He has 10 touchdowns on the season. Devontae Smith is a 99. He's 99 yards away from a 1,000-yard season, has 5 touchdowns on the year. And then they're getting Dallas Goedert back. And so, yeah, I like that game plan of stopping the run and forcing Minshew to beat you. If they're going to win, you got to stop the run. And I'm going to give the ball to Minshew and say, hey, throw against us. I like our chances in that situation. So here we go. Defensive predictions here for Saturday, Christmas Eve, against the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. I got 3 sacks. I think that's pretty conservative. I think that really is. I think Minshew is going to be pressured quite a bit. And I think he's going to hold on to the ball sometimes too long. Rather, Jalen Hurts may have, thrown away the ball or escaped from pressure. I think Minshew, we get to him 3 times. I don't think there's going to be any interceptions. I could be wrong on this one. Honestly, pressure could get 1 or 2. But I'm going to say no interceptions. But I definitely see a fumble in the mix. I think the Cowboys get a fumble in here, whether it's us punching it out or just getting stripped. Do see a fumble in the mix there. So the Cowboys are going to get a couple of turnovers that are going to help them. Now let's talk about this offense here. This offense is going to be very interesting. And it's straight to the point. You got to stop with the turnovers. You just got to stop. 2 interceptions from Dak Prescott, 11 interceptions in the past 10 games. You could argue, you can comment down below, this or that. And I know, I made TikToks about it. I understand. PFF said that 6 of those interceptions are not deemed turnover worthy, meaning they're not his fault. So I understand that. But regardless, a turnover is a turnover at the end of the day, and it hurts the team regardless. That's what it says on paper. That's what it says on film. That's what it is at the end of the day with the game. These turnovers need to stop because no one's fumbling the ball. It's interceptions. But here's the crazy thing, y'all. Here's the crazy thing. How do you avoid a very unfortunate incident where Dak Prescott throws the ball and it bounces off a receiver's hands and it's up in the air for the defense to catch it for an interception? How do you avoid that? You don't throw it. You run the ball. I cannot believe we're here again. I feel like I've said this all season long. Run the ball. You gotta run the ball. If we run the ball just a couple of times more in that Jaguars game, same situation that it was back in Green Bay. See, I'm getting amped up here. We win this game. And honestly, Cowboys Nation needs to chill out here. I know we're down some defensive players. I know we're down a few key starters, and I've mentioned that myself. But you have to understand, we're a couple of run plays away from the Cowboys beating the Packers and the Cowboys beating the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cowboys avoiding those 2 losses. And instead of being 10-4, they could be 12-2. So we need to stop acting like it's the end of the world, that it could be the end of the season, and that there's this huge red button that we're pushing on because we're worried about the season. No, the Cowboys are coming off a 4-game winning streak. They lost a very close game off of an interception in overtime to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are very underrated. And so this season's not over, y'all. We still got Dak. We still got Zeke. We still got TP. We still got CeeDee Lamb. We still got Micah Parsons. We still got Trayvon Diggs. We still got Malik Hooker, J-Ron Curse. The list goes on, people. There's no need to panic in the Big D. We're going to the playoffs. And here's the other thing I want to comment on. When I look at this team, I think of the Cincinnati Bengals from last season. The Cincinnati Bengals had one of the worst offensive lines going into the postseason. And they somehow found a way, they scraped themselves to get 4 wins or get 3 wins to make it to the Super Bowl. Now remember, they were a 10-win team. Cowboys right now are 10 wins. Now here's the thing. To win games, and it all goes back to what I said about talented rosters and the beautiful game of football being the best team there on that specific day. What I'm really hoping for in these past few games is coaching. Because coaching can get you from point A to point B. Talent can only get you so far. But good coaching can get you to where you need to go. And I'm really hoping in these last 3 games here, we see a little bit of coaching up. Now, I trust my guy, Dan Quinn. In fact, I'm going to turn this hat around right here. I trust my man, Dan Quinn. He's going to coach these guys up, and he's going to get this defense to a level where they can perform and get a stop. What you saw last week, that's a big red flag for him. He's probably yelling at the guys right now in the defensive room saying, hey, we're better than that. But I'm going to turn this hat the other way. On the other side, Kellen Moore, you got to stop, man. The play development, the way the play design is, having curl routes, having 3 receivers in the same spot, option routes, man, you got to call better. You got to be better. You got to do better. And that's what I'm really hoping for, is the Cowboys can really make up for the loss of talented players that they've lost here in the past couple weeks with good coaching. We've seen it with the Cincinnati Bengals last year, and the Cowboys, I mean, it could happen. It could happen, and I really hope it does. I really do. And so, a couple of things here. Like I said, a little bit of a tangent there, but it needed to be said. It needed to be said. And I thank you guys for hanging out with me. Be sure to like and subscribe. The Cowboys have to convert on 3rd down. You look at the game against the Houston Texans, they were 8 of 15. That's below, actually a little bit above 50%. And last week against the Jaguars, they were 9 of 16, barely above 50%. There was a time where they were just executing on 3rd down and they looked really good doing it. They need to distribute the ball more, because that's what really allows defenses to key in on those critical moments, is they know who you're going to throw to. They know what you're going to call. Distribute the ball, and that comes down to getting Michael Gallup involved more. This has got to be a Michael Gallup game here. And T.Y. Hilton, he's making his debut. You got to get him involved here. Slots, and none of that reverse. I'm not talking about getting Hilton involved with the reverse. That's dumb. You just got to get the ball out of Dak's hands. Forget the option routes. Get the ball out of Dak's hands as quick as you can, because this defense can come at you. Take a look at this graphic coming up here. Eagles defense versus the Cowboys defense. We got some big defenses, really good defenses coming at each other here on Saturday. Eagles have 55 sacks. Cowboys have 49, which has been very disappointing. They've only had a few sacks in the past 2 games that they played the Texans and the Jaguars. Very disappointing. The Cowboys have more pressures, 293, and the Eagles have 271. So the Cowboys can produce that pressure there. And passer ratings, well, the Cowboys are giving up a 96 passer rating, and the Eagles are giving up an 82.8. So really interesting defensive matchup, and really this is the best of the best. This is the kind of game that you want to see on Christmas Eve. And I'll put down my prediction here, my postseason prediction. And I've said this all season, and I said it on TikTok too, is I think this team plays each other 3 times, honestly. Because the winner of that matchup between the Cowboys and the Buccaneers, they go to Philadelphia for that first matchup. And I'm going to say it again right here on YouTube, so it exists here on the internet. The Cowboys are going to get past that wild card round. Despite what you think of them right now, they're going to get past whoever they're playing, whether it's the Bucs, the Panthers, whoever. I don't care. We're going to get past them. And we're going to play the Philadelphia Eagles in that divisional round. And I think everyone's going to be healthy at that point. You're going to have Dak versus Jalen Hurts. So, I think we're going to play them 3 times this season. But here's my prediction for the offense here. I think Dak Prescott goes 26 to 34, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, and I think he does throw an interception. It's bound to happen. But here's the other thing. I think Ezekiel Elliott goes off on Sunday. Something about number 21 when he plays the Philadelphia Eagles. He has himself a game. So I'm going to make the bold prediction that he runs over 100 yards, and I think he scores 2 touchdowns. I think that number 21 is going to feast on Saturday. But let me say this. Let me say this as we come to the end of this video here and we talk about this big game. I have to remind myself that I like this team. I like this Dallas Cowboys team, even though injuries are sweeping the headlines right now. I got to remind myself I do like this team, and they've shown a lot of things this year that I've been very excited about. And in fact, they're coming off a 4-game winning streak, y'all. Let me remind you of that. And I got to admit, one of my biggest weaknesses as a commentator, analysis, or YouTuber, Cowboys content creator, is I'm a little pessimistic sometimes. That unbiased and realistic viewpoint that I usually have, well, it kind of teeters into pessimism sometimes because I look at this team in the past 26 years and I look at what they haven't done. Often it blurs me to see what exactly that team is doing at the moment. And so I'll admit that. But with that being said, I think this team does have accountability among each other. You got Jaron Kearse, you got DeMarcus Lawrence, you got Micah Parsons, you got Trayvon Diggs. All these guys hold this defense accountable. And on top of that, you got Dan Quinn at the top setting the tone. Same thing with the offense there. Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott. You got a lot of players that are setting the tone and keeping each other accountable going into this game. And they have proven to play with the chip on their shoulder following a loss. This team has lost 4 times. The first time they lost to the Bucs, they came back, they beat the Bengals 20-17. They lost to the Eagles in week 6, they came back, they beat the Lions 24-6. They lost to the Packers, and they came back the next week and they destroyed the Vikings 40-4. Dallas Cowboys, how are you going to answer the loss against the Jaguars now that you're playing the Philadelphia Eagles? We have yet to go on a losing streak, and I do believe this team answers the call. And I do like them in this game, believe it or not. And like I said, the NFC East title is up for grabs, y'all. And the Eagles have to go into Arlington, Texas at AT&T Stadium and rip it from the Cowboys on their own field in front of Jerry's World and his big Jumbotron and in front of all their fans. The Eagles got to go and do that without their starting quarterback. And this game should be personal because this is your season right here. You got to show everyone that you play this game with pride and that the Cowboys do fight for one another. And I hope they're in the locker room looking at each other, grabbing each other, saying, hey, I'm going to play for you here. I'm going to play for you here. And this game is for pride because we are still the NFC East champs, and they got to come in here and take us down so that they could be the NFC East champs. So the Eagles will have 2 more opportunities, hopefully after this week, to clinch the division, but not in our house. Not in our house. Not in our house, Cowboys Nation. The Eagles cannot simply stomp up in here and take that division. The Cowboys have to win this. It won't be pretty. It won't be a blowout. It'll be close. The way you would imagine any kind of NFC East showdown. I got the Cowboys. I got the Cowboys winning this game in a very, very close one. In fact, I'm going to be so bold, I'm going to say this game goes to overtime. And I think the Cowboys take this game 29-23. Cowboys go to 11-4. The Eagles fall to 13-2. Big time game. I want to know. Comment down below your score prediction. I want to know what you think about this game. Big game coming down in Dallas. And that is the end of this video. I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out with me for a few minutes. Be sure to like and subscribe. We'll be here all season. I'll see you guys after the game for my post-game reaction video. Go Cowboys!
Looking down the field, Lamb, 10, 5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.